Hi, this is Rhonda Pierce. And I guess we've had a few technical difficulties. I kept getting an error message, but I'm here now. Let me just, good thing I have an alternative with my smartphone. I've got this fabulous laptop, and for some reason, I kept getting an error message, even though the countdown was going live. So I'll go ahead and start this, and we'll see who shows up. My name is Rhonda Pierce, and I'm here to on behalf of SCHMETZ Needles. Okay, I'm starting to see a few people pop up. I can't see a feed, so I just say hello, and I'm glad to see you. Okay, I see Jennifer is here from Florida, and yes, I am wearing a sweater dress. It has been kind of cool in the Chicago area. It is sunny. And I would be too warm if I was outside. So yeah, send me some love or some thumbs up if you can hear and see me. Peggy from Alabama, Susan, where are you from? Are you from Wisconsin? Kathleen, okay, from California. Millie, so this is good. This is very good. Annette is here from Washington. So excellent. Thanks for hanging in there with me. You know, it's been since before Thanksgiving, I think, when I've done a SCHMETZ Facebook live. So I guess technology has changed a little bit, and but I'm live, and I'm thrilled to be here. Patty's from Fort Wayne. Rob Mack is here. Patricia from Ohio. Oh, Carrie is here from Illinois. Oh, Beth. Oh, Beth, my swimming partner. Boy, wouldn't you love to get into the pool these days? It's not so much the swimming pool that I'm worried about, but it's the locker rooms. And Beth and I do Saturday water aerobics. And I do miss not only the exercise, but talking with all my water aerobic friends. Okay, so let's get started. This is kind of a test today. This Facebook Live will be me only. But through the rest of the month of May and June, I'll be inviting some sewing friends. Some that you may know, some you may not know, and I'll be asking, what are you sewing? So it'll be kind of an update during this crazy pandemic time. I hope everyone is healthy and safe, and I've considered this pandemic time for myself personally as a gift of time. I sheltered at home like many of you have and still are. I am now coming into the office a couple days a week so we can get those SCHMETZ needles out. And I'd be really curious to know, where are you buying your SCHMETZ needles? If you're a friend that sews, did you have enough needles in your stash? Or are you having to buy needles, and where are you buying them? Are you buying them from a local store curbside, or are you ordering them online? So it'll be interesting to see if you answered to that. So you might be curious to know why this became SCHMETZ Swim, SWIM. Well, Rita Farrow, who does a lot of writing, she's a friend and writer for SCHMETZ Needles, and we got together last Monday in a small rural Illinois community about midway between our homes. Rita lives in the Quad City area. So we met in Mendota, Illinois. Never been there before. Looked like they had big industry going there with Del Monte and lots of sweet corn production. I do love sweet corn. Anyway, we were thinking about Facebook Live and streaming, etc. And what could we call this? So Rita loves words. I call her a word crafter and a word master. And she goes, let's call it swim. See what I made. So today it's about me with my very first project that I finished actually during this pandemic time. It's a project that I started probably in about 2003. So that does classify it as a UFO. And I know there's a couple friends on here that don't so. So a UFO is an unfinished object, and I've had several UFOs just lurking in my sewing area. So I've pulled that out. And actually, I've pulled several UFOs out, and I'm wrapping things up. So, my first UFO that is complete is this right here. This I call my Thangles Christmas Salad Quilt. Thangles Christmas Salad Quilt. And you might be wondering, well, that's a lot of words for a little 32-inch square quilt. So how did I come up with that name? Well, first of all, you might be, if you sew, you might be familiar with Thangles. And here's the original package for the Thangles that I had. Thangles, these are 1-inch squares, and I could make, let's see, how many Thangles could I make per sheet of paper? Anyway, I don't have one of the original templates, but on the Thangle, you get this little rectangular piece of paper, and it has your stitch and cut lines. And you lay that on top of a light and a dark fabric, and I still have some scraps. So I'll just, with your right sides together, and then you lay your Thangle template on top, and then you stitch on the lines, and then you cut on the solid lines. So this little package made 1,000 half square triangles from 1.5 strips. So I didn't even count how many different fabrics I have, but these are all fabrics I had left over from Christmas quilts that I made, probably around 2000, 2003, don't know quite the exact year, but I kept everything in, I got everything cut out into little 1-inch, into the little Thangles. I got them all sewn up, and then I put them away in a drawer, and so I had this nice little box, and I'm guessing it's a repurposed box too, because I recognize my mom's handwriting on the box. And I still have the original shopping bag. I used to be the manager for Country Stitches in their Jackson, Michigan, and Flint locations. So isn't it funny that I would still have the shopping bag? And then I had my fabrics all laid out, cut in strips. These were the leftovers. And all of my little half square triangles, I bagged them according to different fabrics. So here's a little Thangle that was stitched up. So yeah, I had 1,000 of these. Call me crazy. So I had a dark and a light fabric. So I found that box when I was purging. Anyone else purging? Yes, I purged a bunch of stuff from my sewing area and created a really nice, wonderful sewing area. Because otherwise I was confined to just a table, but now I've got a whole big room. So I put all these Thangles together, and then November 2018, Rita Farrell, Mary Malari, and Deanna Springer and I all got together for a sew retreat. So, S for sew, E for exercise, and W for workout. So, SEW retreat. Yeah, well, we got snowed in, and that was a polar vortex. So, anyway, during that time, I had all of my thangles, loose thangles, thrown into a Portuguese bowl, ceramic bowl that looked like a giant head of lettuce. You can see that picture over on my personal website, which is Sew More Stitches, and you can see the different pictures from this particular project in late March through mid-April. Here's, let's see, do I need to, well, I'm not going to touch any more buttons, but so SEW morestitches.com is my personal website and blog, and you can see pictures, and I explain about how I made this quilt. So during the polar vortex, during our sew retreat, I did audition a few blocks. So each block is 4 inches, and let's see. You can see this block here. I've got 4 different blocks. To me, these look like pursed lips. And I thought, that looks a little bit challenging, and my points might not totally match. So I crossed that configuration off. I have another single pursed lip with just the regular half square triangles, and I didn't really like that look. It looks kind of messy. Your eye kind of goes back and forth. I tried pinwheels, and there's 4 pinwheels here, and it's kind of hard to distinguish, right? So I didn't like that. So you know what? I went with this method here where I have a light fabric on the upper left-hand corner and a dark on the lower left. So this is what it looks like. And I needed those audition squares, so I included those in the quilt. And you know what? Doesn't it look fun? I thought it turned out really cute. I had some leftover backing fabric. I think this was actual thimbleberries. There were some thimbleberry fabrics in this, in these half square triangles, so I liked it. But I didn't have enough. So on the back, I took some of those strips that I had cut already. So I did a vertical rows of, or I made a vertical row of the strips so I could get the width I needed to finish the back. So I'm really pleased with the way it looked. Then I did blog about it, and I was so excited because I was done. But if you quilt, you know a quilt is not done until what? What is the last step to making your quilt? Yes, it's putting the label on. So let me show you the label. I got to find it here. I was able to just do some machine embroidery using my machine, the stitches built into the machine. It says Rhonda Pierce 2020 Thangles Christmas Salad. So I'm pleased with the way it turned out. So that was the first of my UFOs that I finished. Also, I just did channel quilting. I didn't do anything fancy. I didn't need a lot of quilting. It's small enough that it did not need intense or dense quilting. Let's see, the other thing I wanted to tell you about this quilt was I used up all those odd colors of spools of thread. So when I stitched these thangles together, I used orange and pink and yellows of all different shades and intensities because it didn't matter. And so I actually finished off like a half a dozen different spools of thread. So let me see, what else can I tell you about this quilt? Oh yes, there was. There was something, and if you go back into my April blog posts, you'll see it. I did have a blooper. Yes, and when you sew and quilt, what is your favorite tool? It is the seam ripper. So yes, I did have to use the seam ripper. On the upper left-hand corner, I actually misplaced the um, the upper block, so I created a different pattern. It looked out of order, so I did rip it out. No big deal. So anyway, so this is a very short hello to everyone. Um, oh, yes, this is a SCHMETZ event, so I need to tell you what needle I used. That's right. I used a Microtex, also known as a Sharp, size 80. The Microtex size 80 is my go-to needle, whether I'm doing garments or quilts. Of course, it all depends on the fabric. So that's what I did, and I'll tell you the chrome. I could tell by the time I finished this quilt, the actual quilting and then attaching the label, that the needle needed to be changed. So how did I know? Well, the machine was making a funny little sound. You know, it's like a little click, or you kind of hear that agitation when the needle pierces through the fabric. So I knew to change the needle. So. Well, let's see. Is Paul listening? Paul is my colleague, and he is in the other room, and I think he's trying to ignore me. But I am in the office. We're shipping lots and lots of needles. We know that you're sewing. We know people who are just learning to sew are sewing up a storm, making masks. Who's made the most masks? I think I made masks for everyone here in the office and for their spouses, and then I made one for my dad. And I don't remember which pattern I used. I just used one off of the internet. But then I made a mask for my dad, and I knew from my experience where you tie on your head in the back that would be difficult for my dad. So I actually put Velcro at the ends of the ties. I cut the ties down so he could adjust it to the right size and more easily attach the ties. So he should get that. Well, he hasn't put it on yet, so I'll get his comments, and he will comment. I'll find out how he likes that rather than having the elastic around the ears. So, Lynn is asking, what machine do I have? I have multiple machines. SCHMETZ works with all brands. The machine that I was using, that I use, is an old FOF machine, a 2140. But I've used many different machine brands. I like them all. So right now I'm using a FOF that probably is almost 20 years old. And I do know I need to take it into service because my reverse button is kind of finicky. Oh, Paul, I see your message that you are here. Let's see. Well, okay. Lissa is watching. Cindy says that's a good idea. Oh, she's making a mask for her dad. Beth says Velcro is a great idea. Jennifer's only going out once a week to the grocery store. And she says listening to our machines is the same as listening to our cars. That's right. Oh, that's a good analogy. I'll have to remember that. Yeah, so when you're sewing, oftentimes you're in the groove, and the machine is just humming along. And then you start to hear a little click, click, click. And then it graduates to a pop, pop, pop. And those are both clues that you need to change your needle. And if you're not in tune enough with your machine, it goes clunk, clunk, clunk. So yeah, needles don't last forever, just like the oil doesn't last forever in your car, or the tires don't last forever, but needles do wear out. They get dull, and striations are created. And if you don't change your needle often enough, the thread will actually create a groove in the eye of the needle. So you don't want that, because that'll be shredding and breaking your threads. So Teresa says that she's sewing masks right now on a Bernina. Yay! And Clovis is saying hi from Indiana. Laura's here with her mother. Oh gosh, it's great to see these comments. I want to say thanks for showing up. Even though I was kind of late, I don't know what happened, but no worries. I will be on again next Wednesday, and hopefully whatever internet problem we had, we'll get that ironed out. Meanwhile, I have a gift for you and for someone, and this is Shannon Fabrics. If you've been to my Facebook Lives before, you know I love and adore Shannon Fabrics. And I've made vests and coats. I don't think I've ever made any quilts out of the Shannon Fabrics, but I do love Shannon Fabrics. So what I'd like to do is, in the comments, whoever has made the most masks during our pandemic, put that number in the comment below, and you will win a Shannon Fabrics kit. And I will also give you some SCHMETZ needles. Now, when you're sewing with these wonderful nap fabrics, these plush fabrics, you want to use a stretch needle. So I'll give you a stretch size 90. Plus, I'll give you my favorite needle, which is the Microtex size 80. And also the newest needle, which is the SCHMETZ Super Non-Stick Needle, which is really great when you're doing machine embroidery, when you're doing machine applique, or when you're working with Velcro. So the Super Non-Stick has that non-stick surface. Can't use the T word for Teflon, but it's a non-stick surface. The needle has a reinforced blade, so you get a cleaner stitch. And the Super Non-Stick also has an enlarged eye, so there's less stress on the thread as you're sewing super fast. So anyway, whoever has the biggest number down below for the number of masks made since the pandemic, Paul will be going through all the comments and searching. I will send you a message, Facebook, through Facebook SCHMETZ Needle, so look for that. Oh, let's see, Barbara says she did about 200, but she lost count. Isabel has done 273. Oh my gosh, Laura, 918. Oh my goodness, that's a lot. Where are you from, Laura? That's a lot. That's a lot of sewing. How many needles did you go through on 918? Anyway, I want to invite you to go to sewmorestitches.com. I post 3 times a week on what I'm sewing, and sometimes I drop in some favorite quotes, so you can check that out. And I will be back next Wednesday at 1 o'clock, hopefully with no technical difficulties. I'll have winners again, and I might have a sewing superstar guest. We'll see how our schedules all work out. Meanwhile, I want to say thank you to you for sewing with SCHMETZ. Our warehouse is busy getting needles out to all the distributors, and to those people who love to sew, to those people who are just learning to sew. So Thank you very much, and so SCHMETZ. I'll see you again soon. Stay well, my friends. Bye-bye.